Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Killa Konvos podcast, your favorite podcast in the whole wide world with your favorite host, Killa. You guys follow me. If you're not already, follow, subscribe on YouTube and Instagram. I'm also on TikTok at the Killa Konvos podcast, at KillaKonvos podcast. That's Konvos with a K, because Killa Konvos KK, period. Duh. So thanks so much for tuning in again. As you can see, I'm all by myself today. Can you guys believe it? I'm doing a thing. I'm doing my first solo today. So shout out to you for tuning in to my first solo. Today I wanted to talk about an old viral video that came out a few months ago from Erica Banks. And basically that just ties into my overall topic about just how the internet is really running our lives, and how it subconsciously tells us what we should be doing, and it tells us the decisions we should be making. But before I go into that, I quickly want to for my new listeners and new followers, I want to tell you a little bit about what the Killa Konvos podcast is all about. And it's basically a girls talk that focuses on topics that impact young people in their 20s. So anything that we're navigating at this point in our lives, relationships, friendships, money, and just the growing pains, because we're kind of adulting, and then we're becoming more of an adult into our 30s. So I'm almost into my 30s. So it's kind of all these growing pains, and there's so many things that we're going through right now, and so many things that we are thinking about. And so this is why I wanted to start the podcast. And so I know that media is also one of the things that kind of impacts young people in their 20s a lot, because we see all these images every day. We see people who are doing things that we feel like we should be doing. They're at a certain part of their life that we feel like we should be at, and it makes you feel bummed, because I know it's made me feel bummed before. So I wanted to talk about what Miss Erica Banks said in her video. And I'm going to play it here.
If she don't look how I want her to look physically, I don't want her to come, because the look of everything is so important to me. If she ain't thick enough, no. Her not did good enough, no. Can't dress, no. Skinny, no.
Basically what she was talking about is the girls she hangs out with, they have to have big butts. They have to be thick. They have to dress nice and be on 10, all the time. And those are the only girls that she can hang out with. She can't hang out with anyone who doesn't have a big butt, who isn't thick, and who doesn't wear a weave and all that kind of stuff. And I just feel like that's so ridiculous for so many reasons that you probably already know. But I feel like that's an example of how the internet is really driving the decisions that you make. Because I'm assuming Erica Banks is heterosexual. I'm assuming she's not lesbian. She's not bisexual. She doesn't like girls. Why do I, as a heterosexual woman, care how big my friend's ass is?
What do you
And why am I, as a heterosexual woman, only concerned about my friend's body, and that's the only characteristic she needs for me to hang out with her?
What do you gain
really?
from that?
Why do I care about that? I don't, because men care about those things. The internet cares about those things, because when you take pictures with someone who has a really nice body and who looks a certain way, then you get likes, you get attention. If you go out with somebody who has a big butt and a super nice body and this Coke bottle body, and she's on 10, you get attention from men, if that's what you're into, because we are Yeah. We are sexually fluid on the Killa Konvos podcast. So whatever group you're interested in, that's who that's going to attract, you know? What does that have to do with you being my friend? What does the size of your ass have to do with you being my friend and, you know, me wanting to go out with you? Because when I want to go out, I want to talk. I want to connect with you. I want to have fun. And I just want to have fun with you as my girlfriend. If I'm going out to meet guys or whatever, you don't got nothing to do with that. Okay? You don't have nothing to do with me getting attention from guys. So I feel like that's the other thing too, is that just, you know, focusing so much on how your friends look and not how smart they are, whether they can have a conversation, what their personality is like. Because a lot of these girls with these crazy, perfect bodies, they can't hold a conversation. So it's kind of like, what are you more focused on? You're just focused on the attention. You're focused on the likes. You're focused on like the desire and the admiration, and not really who you're hanging out around. And it's important to, you know, to hang out with a solid group of girls, because as women, you guys have to protect yourselves when you're out. You can't protect yourself with a big ass. You got to be smart enough to, somebody has to be on watch. Somebody has to make sure they're watching the drinks, make sure your friends go home safely, make sure you guys are safe when you are at the club, because shit be going down, you know? So yeah, I think that she had talked about this video a long time ago, but I just had to talk about it now because, I mean, I haven't recorded in so long, and today it just happens to be the day that I wanted to talk about this topic. And it has a lot to do with just like how media affects young people and affects the way that we think and our preferences, down to the friends that we choose to hang out with. So yeah, I thought that was ridiculous. And I think that you should really value the people you hang around, especially your girlfriends. As a young Black woman, the friends that you hang around are super important and they matter. You know, your friendships matter just as much as your relationships, and just as much as the guys who you want to get attention from, you know, they matter. So let's value our girlfriends and the people we hang out with, and not just put more preference on how they look and how their bodies look, you know, whether they can beat their face, whether their hair is done all the time. Like I understand the looking decent, like look nice going out, you know, don't look a mess, and don't be lying to your friends when they don't, when they not putting that shit on. Don't lie to your girlfriends, okay? Tell them the truth when they got something that doesn't fit them right. If, you know, they could wear something better, whatever. Be honest with your friends, okay? Just be a good friend. But, you know, the size of their ass, really? Your friends have to be thick? That means Erica Banks would not be Brandy's friend. And y'all know Brandy from last week's episode, and the episode before that, and the episode before that. Y'all know Brandy. Erica Banks would not hang out with Brandy, skinny ass. Okay? That is not cool. So, yeah. And quite frankly, Erica Banks would not hang out with me because my ass ain't that big for her to really want to hang out with me, you know? But yeah. And also, like, that goes into, like, when I talk about social media really driving like our decisions and even how we see ourselves and how we think about ourselves, I also want to talk a little bit about body dysmorphia and just kind of how we see ourselves differently because of all the images that we're looking at on a regular basis. Like right now, it's the tiny waist, was it tiny waist, like big hips, like that is a huge thing. Like the Coke bottle body, like that's still a thing. The BBLs, the liposuction, like if your body doesn't look like that, then it's a problem. Then you might think that your body is not, you know, your body is just not good, or your body is just like, yeah, not good because it doesn't look like what you see on a regular basis on the internet. And it might sound crazy because who cares what this girl looks like who cares about what that girl looks like? Who cares about what this girl looks like? But honestly, when you're looking at it all the time, then it kind of makes you start to compare yourself. And that's a natural human thing, I feel like. And what I've noticed a lot with like myself and with my friends is this obsession with weight loss and this obsession with not just going to the gym and being healthy and being strong, but with losing weight, with wearing waist snatchers and like, oh my God, I can't think of it right now. But waist snatchers to like, and working out with those things so your waist can get smaller, and doing a whole bunch of squats and things like that to make your butt bigger. I feel like we have this obsession with making our bodies look like the bodies we see, and we're not focused on being healthy. We're not focused on strengthening our bodies, which is more important. Why am I so gassy? It's a champagne. Like making your body stronger and healthier, and instead of just sculpting it, because sculpting is one thing. Okay, that's not important. You're not a bodybuilder, but making sure that you can do cardio for 30 minutes and then do weights. We're not focused on that. We're focused on creating our bodies into what we see on a regular basis. And we may not know it. We may not want to believe it, but it's happening. So I just ask that you check that. Like, how do you feel about your body? What do you think about your body? And why do you think that way? Like, why do you feel like because you don't have a small waist, your body's not attractive? Why do you not want to wear a bathing suit because your butt isn't huge, or because your stomach isn't super flat? So I feel like that goes into like the internet telling us how we should look. And yeah, the internet telling us how we should look. Because I know I've been hyper focused on that a lot. It's just like losing weight, being skinny up here, but just keeping my thighs and keeping my butt, because I do have trainers, and I'm always telling them like, I just want to tone up here, I just want to shrink this up here, lose my stomach, but keep my thighs. And it's like, why do I keep telling them that? So I feel like when you're more aware of the decisions you're making, you should start thinking about like, why do I think this way? Why do I want my body to look like that? Why do I want to target these areas? Is it for me, or is it because this is good for my health? Because honestly, like, to have a strong stomach and to not have as much stomach fat is actually healthier for you. And not just for, I guess, cosmetic desirable reasons, but for like serious health reasons. Okay, so what I want to talk about next are green flags in relationships, because I feel like we're always talking about red flags in relationships, like red flags in men, red flags in women. And I think that it's always a good thing to know what the green flags are, because when a lot of us have had, to be honest, very traumatic like breakups. We've had traumatic relationships. We've had relationships that weren't so good and relationships that were better than others. And I think that especially when you're dating, when you're getting into a new relationship, it's important to think about to know what the green flags are. Like, what do you want to see in a relationship? What are some of the positive things? What are some of the things that help you to know that you should continue, dating that person, or, move to the next level with them, whether it's marriage or whatever. I'm super excited about this because I feel like these are just things that we don't talk about, and they're often overlooked when we're dating, because we're always looking out for, okay, why should I not date this person? Why is this person not good for me? What has this person done that's similar to the last person, what they did? And so let's talk about the green flags. So let's talk about the things that we should be looking for in a relationship. And if that person doesn't have those things, and maybe we should either have a conversation. I'm not saying that we just jump to dumping them or whatever, but let's have a conversation. Let's think about, is this thing worth pursuing? And also so I'm going to name a few, I'm going to name 3 or 4, but this is not an exhaustive list. So you as an individual, you have needs, you have things that you want to see from your significant other. And so I'm not saying that you just completely scratch that list and just think about these things. Like, these are the main things you should be thinking about. But I think that these are just some things these are some like green flags that we overlook in a person, that maybe you can add to your list, or, and if you don't want to add it to your list because it's not important to you, then that's okay too. But I know that this is something that, these are some things that we tend to overlook and should start considering in our relationships, particularly our new ones and when we're dating. So the first one is, the first green flag that I have is that your person, I'm not going to gender this person because, we're not doing that. So the person that so that person is just not with your bullshit. That's the first green flag. So if they don't tolerate pettiness, they don't tolerate manipulation, they're not with the drama, that is a green flag in a person, because that lets you know that they respect themselves. Like, they're not with the games. Because honestly, like, man or woman, like, a lot of us are playing games out here. And a lot of us feel like we like own a person, or like we own them and we run them when we're in a relationship with them, and that's just not true. And so that's where like manipulation and all those things come in. So if the person you're with will cut you off quickly because you're the drama, you're petty, you're manipulative, they see through all of your toxicities, then that's a green flag. And you might be single and might have lost out on someone that was like a decent person, but just know that that's a green flag. They check you on that kind of stuff. The second one is that they're respectful of everybody, like down to the guy who like is begging for coins on the interstate. Like, they're respectful to all people. With Black men, like, I know like now it's like a thing to be super macho and super like chill and standoffish as Black men. But if you're with a Black man and he's like respectful to other Black men, like, he'll hold the door for a Black man, or he'll address and greet another Black man, I feel like that's a green flag, because he's just respectful to all people. He's not what is the word? Like, he's not intimidated by other people. He has a lot of confidence. I feel like that's a green flag. Mm-hmm. And then, like, especially Black women, if she's respectful to other Black women and she's not like intimidated by other Black women, like if y'all are out together and she's just like has an attitude because there are other girls around, like all that weird stuff, like if she's like cool and chill and respectful, then I feel like that's a green flag also. So in this social media era, the third green flag is that the person you're with is their own person. They're not on the scene because they feel like they have to be. You can tell when someone is just like being led by something else, and when someone's not being genuine and authentically them. They're like following a social media trend. They're always up on like what people are talking about on Twitter. They're always up on like, I don't know, like all the trendy stuff. Like, they're just not themselves. They don't think for themselves. They're always referencing something on social media, something some artist said, something some influencer said or did. They're trying to put on an image of someone that they're not, or something that they're not. I feel like that's a green flag when a person can just be themselves. They're not like, they don't feel like they have to have all the drip. And I'm not saying it's anything wrong with that, because if you want to look good, you want to look good. You want to wear luxury things, and that's cool. I like luxury things, but I don't feel like I have to. I don't feel like I don't feel the pressure of having luxury things. I love luxury things, but I don't feel the pressure of having it because I don't got no money for that right now. So you don't want to be with somebody who's like, getting PPE loans just so they can buy a Louis Vuitton bag or some Gucci shoes. You don't want nobody like that. So you want someone who is their own person. And that's the third one. And I feel like also the last one I want to say is just that the person you're with, they leave the past in the past. I've heard stories recently about, people who keep like tabs on their exes, people who are texting their exes or like allow phone calls at late at night from their exes, and they be liking pictures and all that kind of stuff. That is a red flag. If someone is keeping such close tabs on their exes where they feel like they still have to like help them, they feel like they still have to like be responsible for them, they still have to, especially people with like toxic exes, and they feel like they have to like still be a part of that person's life because their ex is manipulative. Their ex makes them feel like they're responsible for them. If they don't know how to just leave things where they're at and they don't know how to let go, then I feel like that's a red flag. So if you're with someone who can leave the past in the past, it's okay to be cordial with your ex. It's okay to be cordial and to be friendly all the time. Everything doesn't always have to end in, into beef and drama. But if they feel like they have to keep tabs on them, they feel like they have to stay connected to their exes and like be what they were when they were together, then I feel like that can be an issue for you in the long run. So you definitely want to be with someone who knows how to let go and who knows when, things have run its course and it's time to focus on the present. So that is my last green flag. Yeah. And I feel like my last thing for you guys with that is just like, for my ladies, is just to know when you're the drama in a relationship. Like, a lot of us can be toxic. A lot of us... Sorry, my dad is texting me. My father is keeping tabs on me right now because I did not respond to 2 of his last text messages, so he decided to call me. Yeah, so my last thing is just like, I'm talking about green flags because it's important to know what your green flags are, but then it's also important to know what your own red flags are, okay? Ladies, know when you are the drama. Heal. All right? Don't lose out on a good man, on a decent human being, a good man, a good woman, because excuse me, because you have not like resolved your past traumas. You haven't healed. You have realized that you don't really know how to be in a relationship. I feel like a lot of Black girls are raised a particular way that kind of affects our ability to maintain good, healthy relationships with our partners. Black girls are raised, to be honest, Black girls are raised in a particular way, and it affects our relationships. And I feel like a lot of us can speak to whether we were, a Black girl raised in an all women household, whether we're a Black girl who didn't have our dad around, whether he just wasn't around because he didn't want to be, or he couldn't be. He was either in prison, he was either, he passed away, or he just wasn't there. It's another thing if you're raised in an all women household, because then you're taught to be the man. You're taught to be independent. You're taught to not trust men. It's another thing if you're a Black girl who didn't see your mom in a healthy relationship. Your mom probably had multiple partners and you didn't see her in a healthy relationship, and then you develop this unhealthy, perspective of men. And so that can all lead to us being the drama. So know how your childhood, know how your upbringing has, led you to be the red flag in the relationship, because a lot of us have red flags. What is your red flag? So I feel like everybody has red flags. Everybody has green flags. So it just depends on how red the flag is, if you know what I mean. So I'm not saying that only go for guys who or only go for people who are all green flags, because I feel like that is not realistic. But if they have some of those characteristics and it's more the green flags than the red flags, then you should definitely go for it. But if you are if you notice that you have a lot of red flags, a lot more red flags than green flags, so you need to check yourself. Okay, don't be quick to check somebody else if you got some stuff going on that you haven't dealt with already. So what is your red flag? Let me know, because we all have some. What is my red flag? What is my red flag, huh? I feel like my red flag is my anxiety, I guess. Like, I don't know. Okay, my red flag is I create my own problems from my anxiety and overthinking. I'm in therapy for. Thank you, Dory Christmas. I love you. So, yeah. Tell me what your red flag is, because we all got them. Okay, you guys, so that is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Killa Konvos podcast, episode 41. Tune in and subscribe. Follow me on all social media platforms. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube at the Killa Konvos podcast, Killa, Konvos with a K, podcast. Tune in, and I'll see you next week. Bitch blame me and meet a different type of devil. Red nose in my diet, gunpowder. Ghetto baby like I grew up in Inspired. Yeah, I could buy a bitch a bag, but what's the point of that? When I can take it